Numa Nomi. This is one of the most recognizable and powerful Logia-type devil fruits, granting its owner the ability to transform into fire, create it, and control it at will. This literally turns the user into a flame human. The first known possessor of this fruit was Portgas D. Ace, Luffy's brother, who wielded its powers with incredible skill and style. After Ace's tragic death at the Marineford War, the fruit reincarnated and fell into Doflamingo's hands. To lure Luffy, Joker offered the fruit as a prize at the Kurita Coliseum tournament, where it was eventually obtained by Sabo, another of Luffy's brothers and a key figure in the Revolutionary Army. The power of this fruit is limitless. The user can shoot fireballs, surround themselves with flames for defense, or even soar using fiery propulsion. One of Ace's most impressive techniques was Fire Fist, capable of annihilating entire fleets, as seen in Alabasta. It's important to note, like all Logias, this fruit makes the user invulnerable to most physical attacks, which simply pass through their fiery body unless the opponent uses Haki. For Luffy, the fruit became an embodiment of Ace's memory, and for Sabo, an opportunity to continue his brother's legacy and use this power for good. Yami Nomi. This Logia-type devil fruit allows its user to control darkness. The user of this fruit is Teach. He spent over 20 years on Whitebeard's ship, hiding his ambitions, and patiently awaiting his moment. Everything changed when the 4th Division commander, Thatch, accidentally found this fruit. On that fateful night, Teach betrayed his family, the Whitebeard pirates. He killed Thatch, took the devil fruit, and forever stained his honor. This act became a turning point not only for him, but for the entire history of the One Piece world. Yes, formally the fruit grants the user the power of darkness, but it's not just black smoke or a visual effect for intimidation. It's literally a gravitational abyss that pulls in everything: light, people, attacks, and the abilities of other devil fruits. The fruit's main ability is nullifying others' powers. Teach can simply touch another devil fruit user, and that's it. That's how he defeated Ace in a one-on-one battle, despite the blazing power of the Numa Nomi. This fruit is considered one of the most broken in the entire One Piece universe. Hia Nomi. This fruit is used by Kuzan, the former Marine Admiral Aokiji. This Logia-type devil fruit gives him the power to create, control, and transform into ice. It allows Kuzan to freeze vast areas around him. The power of this fruit is truly impressive. Kuzan can instantly freeze water, creating icy paths across the ocean for his bicycle, or turn entire tsunamis into motionless blocks of ice, as he did during the Marineford War. His attacks range from creating ice spears and swords to massive ice attacks capable of freezing opponents into fragile statues. One of his signature techniques is Ice Age, which allows him to cover immense areas with ice in mere seconds. What makes this fruit especially unique is its versatility. Besides combat abilities, it allows Kuzan to circumvent the natural weakness of devil fruit users, the inability to swim. By creating an icy path, he can travel across water without any problems. This fruit allowed Kuzan to change the climate of an entire island, Punk Hazard, turning half of it into an icy desert after his epic 10-day battle with a Kainu. He can freeze everything around him: water, land, opponents, but he himself isn't cold. There's no iceberg in his chest, there's kindness. He could have killed Saul, but spared him. He could have killed Robin when she was still a child, but instead, he gave her a chance at life. Kuzan never blindly followed orders, and that's what distinguishes him from the others. And if it's true, then the ice we see on the outside is just a cover. The real flame is within him. Sunauna Nomi. This Logia grants control over sand. The fruit is genuinely awesome and one of the most memorable in the One Piece world. It's used by Crocodile, a former warlord of the sea and the main villain of the Alabasta arc. Thanks to this fruit, he literally became a sand human and can do whatever he wants with sand. He transforms into sand and evades attacks. Luffy couldn't even touch him at first. Crocodile created sandstorms, sharp blades of sand, and even sucked moisture out of people. It looked terrifying. He just touched a person, and they turned into a mummy. But the fruit has a weakness: water. When Crocodile got wet, his sand body lost its properties, and he could be hit. Luffy realized this, first using his blood and then water to break through his defense. Although Crocodile lost, his fruit is still one of the strongest. He didn't just wave sand around, he used the fruit's power strategically to control territory and dehydrate enemies. Even later, at Marineford, he proved to be formidable, fighting Akainu and even saving Ace and Luffy. So despite his defeat, Crocodile and his fruit are a force to be reckoned with. Moku Moku Nomi. This Logia grants the power of smoke. The fruit was eaten by Smoker, a marine vice admiral. He can transform into smoke, control it, and create as much of it as he wants. Thanks to this fruit, he's hard to hit. Attacks simply pass through him like mist. Smoker uses smoke to capture pirates. He can engulf them in dense smoke, from which it's almost impossible to escape. He can also fly, move quickly by dissolving into the air, and deliver attacks using smoke. All of this makes him an excellent pirate hunter. But like all Logias, there's a weakness: armament hockey. If an enemy has hockey, they can hit Smoker, even if he's in smoke. That's why Smoker doesn't just rely on the fruit's power, but also fights himself, using his Sea Stone Jitte. The Moku Moku Nomi suits Smoker well. He's stubborn, relentless, and always there, even when it seems like he's not. He literally becomes smoke, appearing out of nowhere, enveloping the target, and not letting them escape. Gorugoro Nomi. This Logia is rightfully considered one of the most powerful in the One Piece world. It transforms its user into a living embodiment of lightning, granting them power comparable to a deity. It was eaten by Enel, the self-proclaimed god of Skypiea, and this fruit made him virtually omnipotent in his heavenly domains, a true thunder god. The power of this fruit is truly terrifying. Enel can move at the speed of lightning, instantly appearing anywhere in his domain to deliver his merciless judgment. His attacks are literally divine punishment. The El Thor technique unleashes a gigantic column of pure electricity in huge amounts of volts upon enemies. But what makes this fruit unique is its versatility. Combined with the mantra technique, Enel can hear every resident of Skypiea using electrical waves in the atmosphere, creating a property of absolute omniscience. And yet, this indestructible deity found a natural enemy who turned his power into a joke. The Rubber Man, Luffy. Rubber is a natural insulator, and Enel's lightning simply had no effect on him. The shock and rage of the god faced with someone he couldn't punish were unimaginable. This is the greatest irony of this devil fruit. Granting boundless power, it proved powerless against a rubber boy. Magu Magu Nomi. This Logia fruit grants its user the ability to create and control magma. Its current possessor is Sakazuki, better known as Fleet Admiral Akainu of the Marines. This fruit literally makes him a magma human, capable of burning and destroying everything in his path. The power of this fruit is truly destructive. Sakazuki can erupt streams of molten lava, pierce enemies with magma fists capable of instantly melting steel and flesh. His attacks, such as transforming his hand into a gigantic magma fist, can cause catastrophic destruction, as seen in Marineford when he punched right through Ace. It would seem that a person wielding a power that spews unimaginable heat should be passionate, or at least fiery. But Sakazuki is the complete opposite. In his chest, there is no raging hot volcano of compassion, but rather cold, calculated ice. He is ruthless, fanatically devoted to absolute justice, and ready to destroy anyone who stands in its way, be it an enemy or even an ally, if they seem insufficiently resolute. He didn't hesitate to try to kill Kobe, and ended Ace, demonstrating absolute indifference to human life if it obstructs his ideals. Sakazuki is a chained dog of the world government who will carry out any order, no matter how brutal. The magma he spews burns everything in its path, but he himself seems to be devoid of an inner fire of humanity. Beneath his scorching exterior lies a cold heart, devoid of doubt and mercy. Pikapikomi. This Logia grants its user control over light. Its owner is Kizaru, also known as Admiral Borsalino, who literally becomes a light human. He can move instantly, fire laser beams, fight at the speed of light, and even materially transform into solar flares through which attacks pass. On paper, a perfect weapon. In practice, well, let's just say the fruit is fast, but its owner isn't. Borsalino is a paradox. His power is absolute speed, but he moves, speaks, and acts as if every morning begins with a 30-minute meditation and a strong cup of tea. While enemies panic, allies bleed, and the ground beneath his feet burns, Kizaru might calmly ask, "Oh, is that you? Pirate, huh?" And only then, lazily raise a finger and unleash a deadly laser as if reluctantly. He is capable of stopping a battle with a single blow, but almost never rushes to do so. The Pikapikomi turns him into a living weapon of mass destruction. He can pierce armor with lasers, explode ships, teleport from one end of the battlefield to the other, and even reflect off mirrored surfaces like real light. But all of this is delivered with Borsalino's signature phlegmatic style, as if he's more of a philosopher than a soldier, compared to Sakazuki, who burns the world with an icy face, and Aokiji, who freezes everything but warms the soul. Kizaru is the golden ray in the center, neither evil nor good. He is a perfect executor of orders, but never shows initiative. Mori Nomi. This Logia grants control over vegetation. Seems harmless enough. Trees, leaves, greenery, ecology, all that. But in the hands of Admiral Ryokugyu, whose real name is Aramaki, this fruit turns into a nightmare growing from beneath the earth. He's not a gardener with a watering can. He's a walking apocalypse of roots, vines, and consuming green terror. This fruit allows Aramaki to become nature itself. He can grow through stone, break through fortifications, summon gigantic thorny trees, and drain moisture from all living things. He is capable of absorbing enemies' bodies and processing them as fertilizer, literally. Aramaki admitted to Fujitora in one of the anime episodes, thanks to the Mori Nomi's abilities, he hadn't eaten a single bite of food for several years. Perhaps the fruit allowed him to sustain himself purely on water, replacing regular food. Numa Nomi. This Logia transforms the user's body into a swamp. A viscous, foul-smelling, sticky swamp that traps everything. The user of this underrated but extremely dangerous fruit is Caribou, a pirate lowlife and a walking symbol of nastiness. The fruit's power allows Caribou to become a swamp. His body enters a fluid state through which it's impossible to inflict damage without haki. He can absorb objects, people, entire cannons, and store all of it within his own personal space. This isn't just a swamp. It's essentially a bottomless storage space, where entire squads can disappear without leaving even a bubble. Literally, it's a Logia fruit with a pocket dimension function. But the fruit's power doesn't end there. The user can spread across the ground, flow under doors, emerge from walls, attack stealthily, and drag victims into his mud trap, from which they won't escape. Suzu Nomi. This Logia grants control over soot. It's used by Karasu, one of the commanders of the Revolutionary Army. He can transform his body into a cloud of soot and control it at will. But unlike common Logias like fire or ice, soot isn't just smoke. It's dense, viscous, and doesn't obey the laws of ordinary smoke. Karasu stands out because he can split his soot into dozens of crows. These aren't just copies, they're parts of himself. These creatures can travel great distances, eavesdrop, spy, and relay orders. He literally becomes a swarm. Infiltrate a fortified zone? No problem. Carry a wounded ally away? A couple of seconds, and they're picked up. Karasu himself remains almost invulnerable. Attacking soot is pointless if you don't have haki. It seeps through fingers, disappears into the air, and returns from the flank. Karasu doesn't shout loudly or put on a show. He acts quietly, quickly, and precisely. Such a fruit is an ideal tool for shadow warfare. Interesting fact, Karasu translates from Japanese as crow. Gasu Nomi. This Logia-type fruit allows its user to transform into gas, create it, and control it. The user of this fruit is Caesar Clown, a mad scientist, liar, manipulator, and the main chemical nightmare of the One Piece world. He's not just a gas man. He's literally a walking man-made catastrophe on a grand scale, with a god complex. With the fruit, Caesar can transform his body into gas, becoming intangible to most attacks. He can control toxic and explosive gases, create clouds of suffocating smoke, absorb oxygen around him, and even explode the air, creating deadly chemical waves. Caesar is not a warrior, he's a coward, but that makes him even more dangerous. He doesn't fight, he poisons, deceives, conducts experiments on living children, and yet calls himself a genius. Unlike many Logias, his abilities don't just destroy, they terrify, slowly, methodically. He doesn't burn, freeze, he suffocates, poisons, and makes others suffer. Yukiyuki Nomi. This Logia allows the user to create, control, and transform into snow. Its owner was Monet, Caesar Clown's assistant. At first glance, her power might seem less impressive than fire or darkness, but don't jump to conclusions. This fruit turns the user into the embodiment of winter death, cold, quiet, and merciless. Monet could dissolve into snow, becoming intangible and invisible, control snowstorms, and even create living monsters out of snow. One such example was the Yuki Rabbi she summoned to attack opponents. She easily isolated enemies inside snow spheres, slowly depriving them of oxygen. Her Kamakura technique is more than an attack. It's a psychological weapon. You sit inside a snow prison, feeling it get colder, harder to breathe, and you realize there's no escaping this. Monet might have not been the main star of the Punk Hazard arc, but her fruit certainly left its mark. Torutoomi Nomi. The Torutoomi Nomi is a non-canonical Logia-type devil fruit that appeared in the second movie, granting its user the ability to create, control, and transform into an unknown liquid. It was eaten by Honey Queen, and this fruit literally made her a liquid human. The power of the Torutoomi Nomi lies in its elusiveness. Honey Queen could instantly transform into a stream of liquid, allowing her to penetrate confined spaces, like pipelines, and travel great distances in a short amount of time. This ability was ideal for sudden attacks and kidnappings, as seen when she unexpectedly abducted Sanji. In liquid form, Honey Queen had extremely low physical strength, which prevented her from effectively attacking or defending herself. The main weakness appears when she finds herself in a confined space that cannot accommodate her normal body. In such a case, she cannot return to human form and becomes trapped. This is how Nami easily captured and sealed Honey Queen in an ordinary jar when she was in her liquid state. Amay Nomi. The Amay Nomi is a non-canonical Logia from the fourth movie, eaten by the main villain, Gasparda. This fruit grants control over caramel syrup. Yes, it sounds sweet, but in reality, it's a sticky, deadly poison. Gasparda can transform into caramel. Blows and blades simply stick to him, slowing the opponent and leaving enemies vulnerable to counterattacks. The weakness? Flour. If flour gets on Gasparda's body, he loses the ability to transform into syrup and becomes an ordinary target for attacks. Gasparda isn't just a caramel jelly monster. He transforms body parts into caramel weapons, stickily grabs enemies, slips through attacks, and can even stretch, mimicking Luffy only with syrup. He controls both solid and semi-liquid syrup, a rare case among Logias. Apparently, because caramel hardens over time, the Amay Nomi strongly resembles the Mochi Nomi, a viscous substance, also manipulating stickiness and stretching. It's also similar to the Para Nomi. Both fruits are related to candy.